Today's episode of the BS Podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek, our presenting sponsor and favorite app for buying and selling tickets for sports and music. Mike Tollin never has to buy tickets anymore.
Nah,
You just get comps. Go to SeatGeek.com/BS to start using SeatGeek. And don't forget to download the free SeatGeek app and our promo code BS. SeatGeek sends you $20 upon your first purchase. Today's episode is also brought to you by our old friends, Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package right from your computer whenever you need it. You don't like the post office.
Post office?
It's terrible.
They still have them?
Yeah. Sign up for Stamps.com and use my promo code BS for a 4-week trial plus $110 bonus offer, including postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in BS. And we're also brought to you by TheRinger.com. Sign up for our new free newsletter. We've done like 5 or 6 of them. Mike Tollin, it's probably in your spam folder. It's in there.
So like I'm trying. Everybody in the office is reading it. They're like quoting things, and where am I? I'm not in the party.
Yeah, just go to your. It's
think?
probably in your spam.
Yeah.
Tate, let's go.
Yeah.
Did you ever hire Tupac to be in a movie you did in the 90s or anything?
Well, the show, you know the show. You've obviously seen the show.
Can you picture us right?
What?
Back in the early 90s, we did that hip-hop doc in Philly. We shot it like on the campus of Drexel, and it was Biggie's heyday. You never saw that? Oh, you're getting a DVD at your house tonight.
Is it? It's got to be on like Netflix or one of those places now,
it's,
right?
It's in my personal library. You love it. No, Tupac,
Early 90s Tupac, Biggie?
It's like Run DMC and
What?
Biggie and Puffy when he was still Puffy, and Warren G got booed off the stage. It
That's
was an
my
whole East
dude.
Coast.
I love Warren G.
You did?
Yeah.
It was a whole East Coast, West Coast thing. They didn't like him in Philly.
Interesting.
Oh, I'll
so
send
you're
it to
East
you.
Coast.
Well, you know, Philly.
Yeah.
Snoop was there.
You've lived there
People
for
don't-
30 years. I mean,
I have. No, not that many. 25.
25?
Not quite half my life, Bill. Do the math.
That's Mike Tollin, who longtime TV movie guy, did one of the first 30 for 30s.
Number 3 it was, actually.
Yeah, the USFL one, which we're going to talk about. Co-owner of my Clippers season tickets. The man who convinced me to keep the tickets in like 2008 or 2000. I think it was the year Blake like blew out his knee, or maybe the
It
year
was
before.
before that.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
before that.
Yeah, definitely before
I was
that.
going to give him up. I was like, this is the worst investment I've ever made. It's
then
been
we have this
5 years
phenom.
of terrible. Yeah, and
Coming
then Blake
from
comes in.
Oklahoma. Yeah, and now we're waiting for him to come back. What's the over-under on number of home games in the playoffs?
I have a big prediction.
Wow. I've not heard this yet?
No.
I'm excited.
What's today's date, Tate? March 24th?
Yep.
I don't think we see Blake Griffin in a Clipper uniform
yeah.
this season, and I don't think we ever see him
Wow.
in a Clippers
Will we
uniform
s-
ever again.
Will we see him in a Celtics uniform?
I don't know. I think they trade him this summer.
You guys have the most guys. Like, you may not have any great ones, but you could package 3 okay, mediocre guys, which might be just what the Clippers are
Well, we
looking
have all
for.
the picks. We'd have to do a 3-teamer because they're going to want to win right away if they trade Blake. But
Wow.
So it's March 24th. There's like 10 games left in the season. He's got to serve a 4-game suspension.
12.
They keep saying what is it, the calf or the quad, or whatever it is.
The quad is not healing. Scary.
He's got some knee arthritis stuff.
How can't
He's
they
the
just, like,
broken
say-
shooting hand?
Can't they just like have him warm up and say he's healthy and okay, let's start the clock on the suspension? Who's gonna know, right? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
you mean it's
like,
like,
let's
oh,
say
he's
not
ready.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the NBA check that?
How would they? Like if he's shooting and he's saying I'm good to go and he's sitting there? I don't know. I'm just trying to get him some.
It seems
time.
like the kind of thing that you could get away with in the NFL, but not the NBA.
What are you saying about the NFL?
I'm saying a lot.
Let's just go right to Raj. Can we? Can we go to his like? Sorry, you're not
probably
getting.
like him.
You're not getting your draft choices back. Are you bitter all over again?
Of course. How am I not bitter? I'm more bitter at my owner.
Because he's a Trump
He's
supporter.
a nice guy. No.
There's that. Your quarterback and your owner. How are you a self-respecting Patriots fan?
Look, I've rooted for people who did worse things than that.
Then Trump? Oh, then rooted for Trump. Okay,
I've
so it's
just
only
rooted
like
for people who've committed crimes and said terrible things and done terrible
know.
things. Like
I have too.
if I have to look in the mirror about who I'm rooting for, then I shouldn't follow sports.
yeah, I'm with you on that separation of church and state.
Totally.
My favorite thing is Iverson. Right, like my kid is wearing an Iverson jersey, and my mom says, "How could you let your son parade around in that outfit of a thug?" I'm like, "Mom, he's the smallest guy on the court, and he plays the hardest, and he gets up, and it's like, who better to teach your kids how to appreciate NBA, right?" So
You love. I mean, one of the reasons you love me is because I am an Iverson defender.
I know.
I love Iverson.
Well, you see right through the uniform. By the way,
Well,
do you notice
so-
I'm wearing green today for you?
Thank you.
I
figured that.
As I was driving, no, it was like subconscious, and I thought there were many years in my life where I wasn't allowed to wear green, because there was such intense Celtic hatred. Like the famous thing was after the '72 Olympics when the Russians stole the gold medal, and we had a poll of all my guys in Philly. It's like, so if the Russians were playing the Celtics,
who would you root for?
Yeah, the Russians. Unanimous.
And then it peaked in 80, 81, 82. Now the Sixers-Celtics rivalry is pretty much dead. And basketball in Philadelphia is dead.
No, not dead. There's this Monty Python sketch where they're like in a race and he goes, dead but not necessarily out of it.
Right.
We're dead but not. How about Moutier last night? Did you see the shot?
You wish he was on your team?
I just wish he didn't make this ridiculous going sideways, knock the ball off my knee, 35-footer at the buzzer.
Yeah, but that's good. It's good for Philly to lose.
No, because we've clinched the worst record by a mile.
Oh, so now you're looking for moral victories?
Well, I'm tied with the worst record ever from the Roy Rubin 72 76ers, right? So we're 9-63. We have 10 games left to break it.
And there might not be a prize in this lottery.
Yeah, what do you think about your nephew? I'm a little worried.
I'm worried about my nephew.
Yeah.
So let's recap. Goes to LSU, mysterious.
Oof.
Had a godfather as the assistant coach.
Right.
I'm a defender. I'm just the case that's being laid out to him now. I don't like.
Disqualified from wooden consideration.
Well, so I think people in the league think it's a little sketchy that he went to LSU. They think it's a little sketchy that his sister was working for Clutch Sports in some way well before he signed with them.
Sketchy.
I think it's a little sketchy that he ended up at Clutch Sports.
Right.
They think it's a little sketchy that he, for the last month of the season, maybe wasn't going all out. Almost seemed like he was in body self-preservation mode over, I got to carry these guys. We can't lose. We have to make the tournament.
Yeah. Didn't see.
And then just dropped out of school like in mid-March.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this.
So I was talking to a general manager. You say this all the time. I don't get to do this that often. But
yeah, that's great.
It's right.
I didn't know you knew general managers.
Yeah, well, I'm not telling. I know a couple. But he said now that they're preparing for the draft, they go through and they look at all the missed, like surefire guys that missed, and it's all character stuff, right? So do you look at your nephew versus Brandon Ingram and the whole Coach K imprimatur?
Yeah.
I think we might take Ingram. I think we actually.
I think he's got a slight edge.
Yeah.
I think it's character or injury concerns, like with Odin. That was a big thing when people measured him and his legs weren't the same size, and they were like, "Oh, so we."
My dream is we get Ingram and Chris Dunn because we desperately need a point guard. With no offense to Ish Smith, my favorite current Sixer.
Well, you're gonna get Ingram or Simmons, but I think with Simmons, the competitiveness thing, I think that's what they look at more than anything now. I think there's just a track record now of like the guys that make it are the guys who are competitive in games, like my boy Buddy in Oklahoma. Or they got like the Kawhi Leonard story from a couple weeks ago by Lee Jenkins, where even when he went 13th and San Antonio was trying to trade, like even at that point in his career, he's up at 6:30 in the morning shooting threes and trying to prove to people he can make threes. Like, I don't know if Ben Simmons is wired like that.
Nah, it's the Steph thing, right? Like it's not going to happen, but like the notion that people are talking about the guy that wins the MVP could win the most improved player same year. He wants to get better.
But I hope maybe this will be great for Ben Simmons. I'm not canceling him out I'm not crossing him off. I'm not putting an asterisk next to him. I think if he goes second, maybe that's the best thing that happens to him. I think it was great for Durant to go second.
Right. Except it is kind of it's a black hole. There's like a long history of disastrous number twos, as you know.
True. Durant's a good one, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just afraid whoever we pick is the wrong guy. Look, we got Embiid.
You could add Porzingis. Embiid is like, are you just crossing him off? What happens with Embiid?
No. We actually did a ride along with him for Vice Sports. Yeah. And he's out. He keeps going back to Qatar for like special Kobe like
I don't
secrets.
understand that.
You don't understand Qatar?
I don't understand. Like if you were like, I'm going to Qatar, I'd be like, what?
He's gone back the second time. Hey, I'm not asking questions. He has.
Yeah, why would you ask questions about a guy who hasn't played for 2 years and flies to Qatar?
We have him not playing. We have Okafor not playing. We have Sarge in Turkey not
playing.
playing.
Okafor had a real injury.
I know.
Torn meniscus is like that's not.
Well, I'm not suggesting they're tanking. They didn't have to.
No, I'm just a little worried about him.
I'm worried about the
bad
dude
season.
From Turkey,
he punched somebody.
The up and down of Sarge.
Oh, Sarge.
There's so many guys out there that aren't. Noel didn't play last night either. It's. I'm just afraid he's going to take Ben because he doesn't want to draft anybody under 6'10". Like we're going to play with all front court guys. It's
What would you do if like the Celtics had 4 and Philly had 2, and we traded up 2 spots and gave you like a whole boatload of more picks that you could possibly
plus we
blow?
could still get Chris Dunn maybe in the 4 spot.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Let's call that into the league right now.
Okay.
We might be able to get to 3. I want to stay at 3.
I just want the Lakers. So the Lakers now, even in the papers, they're like celebrating their win or their loss to the Suns.
know.
It's great.
Well, it's so embarrassing though. Like they're playing Ron Artest 25 minutes a game. He's shooting 29%. He's been washed up for 4 years, and they're just throwing him out there. Like they have young guys to play.
More minutes than Elton Brand.
Like
even.
he's a veteran. It's like, what? He's terrible. And then his name has World Peace on the back. I'm watching a game 2 days ago. He gets kicked out. It's like, I thought you were for World Peace.
It's a
What are you
different kind of
doing?
peace, Bill. You have to defend. So
the
the great
Philly
thing is they
thing-
have a 56% chance of not losing
Of a top
their pick.
2.
No, of staying in the top 3, which is what the protection is for the Laker pick. So the Sixers have their own
They have
Miami
Sacramento.
and Oklahoma City. Now,
And
forget the Sacramento trade thing. I mean, that could be
But
important.
you could swap it.
Right.
I think if Sacramento won the lottery, that's actually good for you because they would
Right.
jump the Lakers and knock them down
Yeah.
one.
But
Now
so,
the Lakers are 3, and then all you need is one more team to jump them, and then you get that pick too.
but so if the Lakers don't get their pick, right, and everybody's complaining, does Kobe come back for another year?
You could end up with 1, 3, and 4. It's conceivable. Oh no, I'm
No,
sorry.
we can't get Sacramento
1,
and
4,
us.
and 7.
Yeah. No, we don't get Sacramento. We only get to swap it if they're higher. So we don't
yeah,
get
you're
ours
right.
and theirs.
So you could end up with 1 and 4.
1 and 4, and then the 2 non-lottery guys. I mean, the OKC and Miami picks.
They gotta stop with the protection and the swap. It's too confusing.
I know.
I
It's
feel like
really
I'm a
hard to figure
relatively
out.
smart guy. I can't even remember like how it plays out. But
Relatively.
so wait a second. 2 camps of Philly, right? One is that this is great. You're playing the odds. This is the advanced metrics way to build a team. If you're gonna be bad, you might as well just be horrendous.
I'm not
and you just do it
matriculating in
that
that
way.
camp. It's too many years, Bill. Like, I drank that Kool-Aid for 2. We're way past that now.
I mean, you just had your 50th birthday party. You don't have 4 or 5 years to waste.
I love that math, man. It's
Well,
beautiful. great.
I'm 46. I think about it all the time. And then I remember, oh, wait, I won 9 titles. I'm fine. It'll be good. Everything else is gravy.
Let's see. I won 2. I got 2.
This century, I have 9 titles.
That's sick. Oh, well.
Great.
And you just love seeing
Not
giant-
counting the 2 Kings titles that the Kings won for my 2 kids to get them into sports. I
Can't
really
count
have
them.
11.
You can't count them.
Ah,
So I have 1. So I have 2 Sixers, 2
Eight.
Phillies.
67 and 83.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at both. That's
When was Philly?
Philly,
Yeah.
Phillies.
That Phillies.
80 and 08. Eagles 0 for life. You can't count 60 because it was pre-Super Bowl. Flyers,
Oh, that's
40 years.
interesting. So you don't count 60.
I didn't get to go.
So if Cleveland didn't count 64, I mean, it gets really dark.
It's all about being 0 for life, right? So anybody under 52 is 0 for life in Cleveland.
When did you realize Chip wasn't going to work out?
Oh, my God. I have to say I was ahead of the curve on that one.
You were?
He's just, like it's sort of my thing about there's got to be a culture. I mean, he always talks about the culture is more important than the scheme. The culture was miserable.
Yeah.
He just, he's one of those guys, he can't look you in the eye. He like walks to the other side of the hallway. I have one good friend on the team who really was supportive up until the point where it was over. And then he started telling me the truth about like the whole sports science thing was a sham. It was proven all wrong.
Yeah.
All the guys he hired as like his chief of staff were like, antagonizing everybody. So,
And repeatedly getting rid of black players
Well-
and keeping white players was getting weird.
my thing is, it wasn't all black players though. It was like,
I know, but I like to just talk in
yeah, so I go, he's
generalizations.
not racist, he's fascist. It's a broader categorization of a guy who just doesn't like understand. I mean, he's all about team concept, but it's not really. I mean, Deshaun and LaShawn, they weren't bad team players. They were just guys who came from different part of the world, thought
Yeah.
differently.
He didn't want to deal with it.
Nah, it's too hard for him. So
now you
Howie
rebuild
Roseman
button.
is just like, shredding any trace of the Chip Kelly era.
That was weird.
Yeah, he's done some good things, though. I like the backup. I like Chase Daniel. He got a good guard, Brooks. He got a good cornerback from the Rams.
The good news is
Filling
your
in some-
division's a mess.
Yeah, we keep.
I mean,
we
who
keep,
knows? 9 and 7 could take
Just
it.
picked up Randall from the Giants. We're getting a lot of mediocre receivers.
So would you say Philly sports fans always upset, always unhappy, miserable? What out of 1 to 10, where is this on a typical Philly sports year right now?
Oh, well, I mean, you have to go back to the early 70s to be this bad.
When it gets really dark?
Yeah, so it's still, even in Philly misery scale, it's like a 9.
Oh, a
And
9?
9 in terms of misery. Yeah. I mean, it depends which way you're going. Inversion, like 10 being the worst, like you
10's
can't
the
get out of
worst.
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, we got
It's
to.
not a 9. It's like an 8.5.
All right. So
Because at least you got, at least the football,
Well,
you have a new coach and all that stuff.
the great news is I'm
36 million for Sam Bradford.
No problem. It's not my money. It's like David Price. Come on. Let's be real. David Price in the last half of that contract, you're going to be like, where is he now? Is he coaching? Is he?
Oh, I love David Price.
Of course you
That'd be
do.
great. We can use him on Nesson.
He's a good guy.
He can announce.
Hey, we did a thing with him, actually. First plug. Movie called Fastball.
Is there anything you haven't done?
Yeah, it was a lot.
You've
It's a lot, Bill. Come on,
Fastball's
don't
the
embarrass
John
me.
Hawk documentary.
Yeah,
That's
Friday
coming
night.
out.
Yeah, theater near you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did this David Price and Andrew McCutcheon thing with these great visual effects, and then I went to Omaha, spent a day with Bob Gibson. You think he's like this crazy, scary, intimidating dude, right?
What was that New Yorker profile?
Of
And
Bob
the, and
Gibson.
the and the bean balls and
Yeah,
the bean
yeah,
ball,
right,
the bean
right.
balls and the New Yorker profile about just how competitive the dude was. I mean, those are the two legacies of
Right.
Bob Gibson, other than the 112 ERA.
But the whole thing of like squinting was just because he couldn't see.
Right.
He was just blind. McCarver had to put tape on his fingers so he could see the signs. He toured me around the house and we hung
That's
out.
amazing, by the way. That like, how did he field ground balls and how did he not get hit by a line drive? He
know.
couldn't see.
Richie Allen always said he was the guy. Like, he just, you couldn't dig in, right? He
Right.
owned the inside part of the play, which guys don't do anymore.
Right.
He was great.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
They don't, yeah. I do miss that. Miss those days of.
Who
You
does
know.
that now? Does anybody really?
Well, and
So-
also just how fast the at bats were. Like sometimes MLB Network will show stuff from the 70s and it's just boom, boom. Guy stays in the box, pitch, gets
It's
a
getting
back
there.
pitch, gets a back pitch.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get that back. Wait, so
This is the best time of
quickly,
the year, though. Wait,
fastball,
Fastball Friday night, select theaters.
select theaters. John Hawk, who's
John
done
Hawk's-
many of the memorable 30 for 30s and
Great.
also did a couple good 30 for 30 shorts for us. Yeah.
He's a great guy, great filmmaker.
Okay.
Yeah, excited to.
Let's talk about the White Shadow. So we
Howard.
lost Ken Howard yesterday, who I had the pleasure of meeting in the 2012 Producers Guild Awards. Before the awards, we saw him.
Did you talk to him
I
about
wouldn't
the
go
show?
over him. My wife made me go over. I was like, I can't. I just was like too nervous to go over, and I never get nervous with celebrities. With that one, I was like, I can't. What if he's not a good guy?
Did you
When
get a selfie or an autograph or anything?
Oh yeah, 20 minutes. John Dahl was with me, and then got a picture. And I think about the 9-minute mark, I started to frighten him a little bit because we're talking White Shadow, and I'm just rattling off episodes and characters. And at some point, he realized I knew more about the White Shadow
Right.
than he did, and he was
It's
on
scary.
the show.
I remember the moment when I realized you knew more about Varsity Blues than I did. It is
Yeah,
scary.
it's the same kind of
It's time to pull back. Wait a second. This is sort of not healthy.
So I was thinking,
Did he have his hairpiece or not? I guess he
I
didn't
don't
go
know.
out
I
with
couldn't
that.
tell. He's so tall. You're
Yeah,
just
he's
kind of
really
looking
tall.
up at his chin.
He's a good basketball player.
Somebody emailed me this, one of my friends, about how he was kind of like our coach for our generation of people kind of between 40 and 55. He was like the first basketball coach that belonged to all of us. Ken Reeves.
Yeah. As
And-
long as I've known you, which is what, 15 years?
Yeah.
You've been pitching the remake. But sometimes you just don't want to do it, right?
Well, now it's been so far.
Yeah.
I mean, you did Coach Carter, which was a little bit of the same kind of
Yeah, but it's
guy
the-
saves the.
It's the Black Shadow.
Yeah. I don't even think you need to remake it. If
Nah,
you
you
just
don't.
go into a high school and you just, I mean,
This will
Friday
be-
Night Lights is not incredibly different from that White Shadow scenario of the savior coach comes
Yeah.
in and
There's
tries
been
to
so
change
many.
people's
There's been
lives.
so many movies about it. It was just the one that came along at the right time, like you said, and like a few of those guys, Thomas Carter, who directed Coach Carter.
Well, it was this weird vortex of that kind of after school special, very special episode culture in a drama,
Yeah.
but then really good basketball footage, but then a cast of mostly black kids,
Yeah.
which was just unheard of in the late 70s for a drama. They would do it for a couple comedies, but it was always like Good Times, Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons.
Right. Shorty Shorts was kind of cool. the really short shorts.
Oh yeah.
And you may not know Wolf Perry. You know that name? He was a Stanford player who was on the team.
Oh yeah, season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was good.
I don't really recognize that season.
Good shooter.
I wish it had ended when Jackson got shot. That should have been the final episode. I just would have ended the series. It would have been like a walk-off grand slam.
Yeah, but it's like saying you wish Michael Jordan didn't play for the Wizards, right? You know,
Some great episodes though. Tackled. I saw Peter Horton when I was at HBO, and I saw Peter Horton. He was kind of looking at me because after I went on that NBA show, anyone who likes basketball, they're kind of like, "Is that the white guy from Countdown?" Like that's the look I get every once in a while. So I went over to him and I was like, "Hey man, I'm a big fan." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I thought that was you." We were talking. I was like, "I've been with you since the White Shadow, man. There was like the first gay character on a show like that." And he was like blown away. It's like, "Oh my God, you remember that?" And it was, but they had this guy. He might be gay, he might not. There was some gay bashing. It was like episode 6, but they tackled shit like that every week.
Yeah,
it was great. It was a great show.
Did you talk to Peter Horton about 30 something or no?
No.
Were you a fan?
It was one of my mom's like 5 favorite shows.
Philly
That's
show.
another one that could probably come back.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
good cast.
You could do that one again.
Yeah.
So we lost Ken Howard and we lost Tony Burton, Apollo Creed's trainer in Rocky.
Yeah, but wait, before
It's
we
a bad start to 2016. I'm worried about Gabe Kaplan.
No, Gabe's got a long way to go.
These are all my sports TV icons.
Can I just talk about Ken Howard's other not as memorable role?
Is this going to upset me?
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about
Okay.
it. No, maybe it's good for you to have a little therapy about Arliss, right?
Oh,
so
you never rallied me on Arliss. It was just a Robert Wolf thing.
The last episode of the first season.
Yeah.
We had this episode about a Mickey Mantle-like character who's like down and out. He's an alcoholic. He's broke. And he comes up with the master scheme, which is to go on Home Shopping and sell his sperm because it's so, athletically gifted. And it's Ken Howard. Who better? Think of Ken Howard playing a down and out older Mickey Mantle. He was great. And we loved him. And he just sat there and like put us on his knee and told us stories about the White Shadow. Really good guy. It's a good episode. Watch it. I'll send it to you.
Like 2 months ago, I troll eBay. I've been looking for our new podcast studio that we're building.
Right.
So I always check out White Shadow just to make sure I'm not going to miss anything. They had a Nike White Shadow Ken Howard poster.
Wow.
And I was like, I did like a quadruple take. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know it existed. And then I'm like, I'm ending up with this. I don't care what the price is. So I put some crazy max bid and it ended up going for like $30 because I'm the only person who cared that this was on there. I think I was the only bidder. And it's this awesome Ken Howard poster. So I got that. It's in my office.
I have 2 things that I bought on auction thanks to you that you were trolling.
I always send you the Philly stuff.
It's my prized possession, a 1967 68-13 Sixers championship ashtray.
Yeah.
It's so great.
I think I found that one for you, right?
Yeah, and then there's that like Canada Dry with all the guys with all the Phillies faces from it was like 80s Phillies, and it's like Canada Dry sticker and then Philly black and white photo. It just sits. Somehow I got away with it. Robbie never kicked it out of the house.
Well, you have a collector's convention in Atlantic City in July that's going to have a lot of Philly stuff, and I'd be very disappointed in you.
Are you going?
I can't because I think I'm going to have stuff.
Well, maybe I'll represent. We'll have like
stuff happening.
I'll have like a little Skyping thing going with you, and I'll send you photos, and I'll make bids for you.
Did One Tree Hill? Did White Shadow influence One Tree Hill?
Nah, not really.
The basketball stuff. The basketball footage was good.
It was good. That's just because we hired the right guys. We hired the same guys that did Varsity Blues and all our sports movies, so we cared. My thing on One Tree Hill was, and any of the guys who worked on it, the directors and the writers, you're not allowed to go to a close-up of the basket and show the ball going in. The ball has to be continuous from leaving the hand.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, so that was a little hard with CMM. With Chad.
Yeah.
It was a little tough. We did a lot of like
some creative editing with
15 takes. Yeah. But James could play, the other guy.
That was my favorite cut my favorite cut ever was Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. The big white guy with the goggles.
Right.
He shot the ball, and then they cut to the ball going through the rim, and he was under the basket trying to rebound it. It's like, are you guys trying?
He was fast, man.
There's been some basketball movies where they will just, Teen Wolf was another one where they'll just loop the footage. Yeah. I think they showed the same Michael J. Fox layup like from 18 different angles because he probably only made 3 of them. Hey, we launched our new golf podcast this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's
it's
on?
hosted by Jeff Shackelford
Okay.
and my buddy Joe House, and it's called Shack House.
Related
it's
to-
presented by Callaway.
Related to Lynn?
No. It's presented by Callaway, and today it is number 1 on iTunes.
Sweet.
Now, they rigged the rankings so that newer podcasts get elevated up, but still, we're very excited. Shack House is number 1. You know why we created that podcast other than that we wanted that house to have more money for food?
No.
Because we're 2 weeks away from the Masters. The weather is warming up soon, and it's time to start thinking about golf.
Are you sporting new Callaway sticks by any chance? Is that one of the reasons you started a new
I was just going to
golf
tell you,
podcast?
if you're not playing an iron with Callaway's industry-leading 360 face cup technology, you're playing with inferior technology. You're losing out on distance. Their irons have a face built to change the game. And you know who's using their Callaway XR driver, the new one?
No,
Already?
who?
Phil Mickelson, 15-1 to win the Masters.
A lefty stick.
Yeah, sleeper alert, 15-1 if you want to join us.
What's Jordy's speed? It's really weird to figure out what he's doing
in a
now.
funk right now. He'll
Yeah,
be fine.
terrible.
He's trying to throw people off the scent. Visit Callaway.golf.com for more information on the new XR driver. You can buy it. You can brag about it. Same thing for the irons, which are fantastic. And subscribe to Shack House on iTunes or SoundCloud. That's the Shack House podcast presented by Callaway. All right.
Wait. No. Am I getting new clubs for sitting here and listening to you do that?
No.
Nothing? Not even a driver?
Yeah, we already promoted fastball. You got something else. Wait a second.
Wait. We got to stay on golf for one more second. I wouldn't have brought it up, but since you brought me there, Lukey, as you know, my 17 now year old son is the number 1 golfer on the Westmark team. And yesterday he went out and 175-yard par 3. What would you use? What club would you use? 175 yards.
It's right between a 4 and a 5 for me.
He hits a 9.
Oh, wow.
Lift the cup.
Wow.
2 feet away for birdie.
Wow, you might not have to pay for college.
I know, it's kind of cool, right? He's pretty
We gotta
psyched.
get Lukey some Callaway clubs. All right, we haven't talked about this since I came up with the idea, but I think I've been badgering you about email. Varsity Blues 2, which we have talked about in the podcast, now has taken a new form because of the tragic death of Paul Walker.
Yes.
Which every time Fast 7 is on, I still get upset. I watch the NA all over again. I'd never realized I love Paul Walker so much.
He was so great.
What a loss. I
Great
feel
guy.
like Fast 8, I just don't understand how I just don't feel the same.
Did you ever meet him?
No.
He is just like you
Underrated.
would expect and want him to be.
Yeah.
Sweet, knew how to use those beautiful blue eyes, charming as hell, but he could act. It was understated, but what's Varsity Blues without that, right? I mean, you got John Voight, you got the Beak, you got Allie, you got Amy, but kind of Paul Walker's movie. And so you want to pitch the
but the original pitch
of
was
Varsity
that-
Blues 2?
Yeah, was that Paul Walker was still there, Lance Harbor.
Right.
Never got to play to college because of his terrible knee injury, like a Marcus Lattimore type of knee injury. Who's the other guy?
Sean Livingston.
Willis McGee, Sean Livingston. Never really was able to come back. Maybe played a little Div 2 in Texas.
Right.
Ends up settling as the coach there. What was the school called?
I forget. That's embarrassing. You know more.
West something high? Yeah, whatever. Tate, what was it called? Tate's going to look it up. But now we don't have Paul Walker. That doesn't mean we can't have Varsity Blues 2. I think it starts at the funeral.
West Canaan.
West Canaan High School.
Coyotes.
It starts at the funeral for Lance Harbor.
Right, of course it does.
Lance Harbor's passed away. Everyone comes back, including Mox.
Right.
Now, Mox, after Varsity Blues, he went into the internet business. He's started up, made a lot of money, married somebody who's good looking. Not Amy Smart.
Not Allie either.
Not either one of them. Just somebody in the East Coast. Met somebody, married, had a very nice life. Something happened. He's divorced. The stock collapsed a little bit. He's at a little bit of a crossroads of his life.
Right.
He's back home. School's in trouble. Doesn't have a coach. The Beak.
The Beak is back.
Nah, he's thinking about it. He needs to be talked into it.
Wow.
The principal of the school now is the black running back that I can't remember the guy's name.
Eli Swinton.
Yeah.
Stanford running back in real life.
Yeah. So that guy's the principal now, and he's like, "Hey, man, they're cutting my funding. We might lose the program." He's like, Mox is like, "What? You'll lose the program? Well, maybe I can stay around, help out for a couple weeks." Kicks off, gets a practice. Some hothead quarterback. Mox teaches him how. All of a sudden he's in. There you go. Varsity Blues 2.
Wow.
Yeah, we're off.
It's John Gayton's listening. He wrote Varsity Blues 1, even though the poster doesn't say that. You
We're
met
off.
John.
The funeral is going to be so sad. The beginning. I mean, it's almost like the Big Chill. Great start to the Big Chill, right? Mm-hmm. The funeral, the Rolling Stone songs, kind of sets the tone for what's
So is
to
it
come.
a series or a movie?
I think you want the 8-episode streaming money right now.
I think so.
You go to one of the places, you just tell them, and they're just like, oh, here's a check.
Yeah,
Fuller, this is great.
If they can do Fuller House, they can do VB2. I think
totally. Yeah, VB2.
I think we need 13.
Start putting out the VB2 poster, the beak.
It's not really for HBO though. It's not going to work at your place.
No, HBO wouldn't do it.
Well, they're not really streaming. What interesting.
VB, the beak. I think part of this is he spent some time with some football coaches. He really wants to get this right.
Right.
It's a couple days with Chip Kelly in San Francisco.
Allie shows up, sort of just for morale. How do you think for Allie Larder having a nice career and a nice life, do you think having been the whipped cream bikini girl is a positive, or is it sort of a drag at this point?
I don't think her career played out the way I wanted it to. And I feel the same way about Kelly Preston, previous generation. I think every decade has the blonde that just should have gone on to huge things. And Allie Larder, The Heroes was fun.
She's in that show now about
She's in The Pitch.
Female pitcher, yeah.
Yeah, I never feel like it got there for her. But that's this thing. It's like...
I think she's got a nice life.
Actresses need luck. No, I'm sure she has a nice life. But actresses need luck. They need that one... like Sandra Bullock gets Speed. Right. It's a great role. She was awesome in it. But that could have been probably 7 actresses from that generation. It's just a great role in a great movie.
Yeah.
She never had that one.
Blindside. $300 million.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was established at that point.
Yeah.
But she had Speed, and While You Were Sleeping, then she's off. And
right.
You've heard my theory on her, right?
No, let me hear it.
It's a Nolan Ryan type career at this point.
Steroids?
No. Come on, we don't know that about Nolan Ryan.
We don't. But what's he doing at 45 throwing 110?
240 strikeouts at age 46. I totally bought it. But no, she had 3 runs. She had 90s. Then she had this whole other run from 00 to 07 and rom-coms, all that stuff. And then the third Blindside run. Amazing.
Yeah.
3 different eras.
She's going to have a 4th is the question.
Hey, talking about, I meant to ask you this when you talk about the Philly culture, how bad it was. You know Goober a little bit because he owns...
my partner.
Yeah.
Peter Goober we're talking about.
Peter Goober is your partner for your company, but he also bought in on the Warriors, which is one of the great investments of all time.
You think?
The Warriors have done a really good job of building a behind-the-scenes front office, consultants. They picked a great coach. They use advanced metrics. They're one of the model franchises now. When you so you went to the game yesterday. What's it like to just go in that vortex? Is it just like this well-run, well-oiled machine?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word vortex because that sort of suggests something kind of negative and weird, and it's so...
Well, what word would umbrella? I don't know. It's going into that whole world.
It's you're right about the behind the scenes and the hierarchy. So you start with Rick Welch, who was a very successful executive,
super well respected, and a good guy.
And he sort of quit and said, I'm going back to the Bay Area and living my life and taking a hiatus, and bam, he gets the job, and he's now the president of the #1 sports team in the history of the world. We were laughing about it last night, actually, and we were talking about the hyperbolic sports writers of anointing this team, and is it a good thing, or is it just in the way to be going for this record? It's sort of like the NCAA teams who are 29-0 going to the tournament and the coach wants them to lose, or having a Patriots team. Is it better to be 15-1 than 16-0 because you're playing not to lose as opposed to figuring it out and getting better? That's the whole Draymond thing. Like when they first lost to Milwaukee in December, and after the game, you're expecting him to say, well, it was great while it lasted. And he's like, so great. Now we can stop worrying about this streak and playing not to lose. But there's so many things we can do to get better, and we have to figure out what our roles are and how to integrate them. So it starts
like
with...
you've become a Warriors fan. I'm just reading between the lines.
Look,
Sounds
man, I like you, Bill. I root for the Laundry. You know where my heart is.
Yeah.
I love Peter, and it's fun going to Oracle. It's
Wait a second.
Electric.
What you just said, though. So I think about that a lot with the Pats because it could go 2 ways, right? Like the streak clearly wore them down.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing from the 10th game on, they were playing a playoff game every week from that point on. On the flip side, it wasn't as good of a team by the time we got to the end of the season because we lost Sammy Morris and they didn't have good running backs anyway. And
Right.
you look at the running backs, it was like Lawrence Maroney and Kevin Falk, and it's just we couldn't run the ball.
Yeah.
And the team became a little more one-dimensional. And I think that was a big part of it. And also, the Giants, they just whooped our offensive line's ass. We had holes. So I'm trying to think, like, with this Golden State thing, even if they wear down a little bit, they don't have that. Like, if Iggy's gone for the year,
That's tough.
to me, that would be like the Sammy Morris thing, but he's not. He's coming back. Like, they'll have their full team.
Well, so you and I, when we went to it was the Clips-Cavs game, we were talking about how the Warriors seem like, they've had some near misses. Well, so here they are. They won 9 out of the last 10, and the 10th was like a near miss in San Antonio that hasn't lost there all season. And now they're sitting
Yeah, they
at,
didn't play well, and they almost won.
Right. So now they're sitting at 64-7. They have 8 of the last 11 at home.
I would totally go for it.
They could go 9-2. They could lose both to San Antonio and win the other 9 and still get it. I guess if you're saying, look, we won the championship, if we have the best record and win a second in a row, we're the best team ever.
I think you have to go for it, and I never begrudge the Pats for going for it because
Yeah.
if they had pulled it off, then you're in the conversation. Anytime anyone mentions a great team, you're mentioned.
Right.
And that's what for the NBA, just NBA only, you're talking 86 Celtics, you're talking 96 Bulls, you're talking the 72 Lakers 33-game win streak, and 67 Lakers 68-13.
I'm not hearing the 67 Sixers.
67
No.
Sixers. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
The 68-13.
Yeah.
And those are the first 4 things people are going to bring
yeah.
up, and now they get to be in that conversation.
So back to that management. So Rick is, unmatched. Bob Myers is really unsung general manager. Really smart. I think he's
Smart dude.
Really puts it together.
I'm going to have him on the pod at some point. I don't know
should.
why it hasn't happened.
He's great.
Everybody likes him.
He's smart. He's sensitive. He
Kind of
gets it.
says stuff too. He's
He
not
does.
afraid to actually have an opinion on
Right.
it in an interview.
No other marketing guys. Chip, Kenny, Brian. They're just great guys. They have this arena. You know about it. In 3 years, they're going to be playing in San Francisco. They're going to have. It's going to be a smaller capacity, but it's going to have like amazing. It's going to be state of the art, and they'll have 200 dates a year there and all, and they'll control it. It's just more revenue. They've already sold naming rights for $400 million, so they've paid for half of it already. It's and Peter's partner Joe Lacob, the two of them play off each other really well. Peter
Joe Lacob, former Celtics minority owner.
Wow.
Joe Lacob also one of the few, if not maybe the only owner that I know of in the NBA who brought in his son in
Right.
like a prominent role, and he's actually competent.
Yeah.
Usually when that happens, it's a red flag. It's like, so my son's going to be the director of player development. And it's like the kid took 8 years to graduate college.
Right. How's that
And-
working out in L.A.?
LA, not great. Jimmy Buss, 7 years for Long Beach State.
Oh man.
But yeah, Kirk Lacob's actually competent.
No, Kirk's
and
doing good.
is
And
in
the-
like
and the-
that whole advanced metric thing.
And even the
is-
D League is like the sort
Yeah.
of model D League team.
they've
it's-
done an awesome job.
It's all
And
going on there.
That's
cool.
what's really fascinating about the NBA right now is all these teams that just know what they're doing. So
Right.
then when you have a team like Philly where it's just a mess, it really stands out. Like the Celtics are a well-oiled machine now. They have Danny, they have Mike Zarin, who would be a GM on most teams, and he's like the assistant. And they have
Great young
Stevens, who's a
coach.
great
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
They have owners who are smart enough to stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And they just kind of know what they're doing. And everyone is trying to follow that model or the Golden State model.
Yeah.
And then you see somebody like Sacramento, and you're like, wow, this isn't hard, guys. Just follow what the smart teams are doing.
Yeah, but that follow the model thing is a little bit of a slippery slope too. It's like, so
then
Kansas City wins the World Series, and now the Yankees have this ridiculous Miller, Betances, Chapman thing, and you guys tried to do the same thing. You went out and got Kimbrel, and
But that's a talent model, though. I'm talking organizational.
okay, but there's that too. It's now there's a little bit of what's being called tanking, although I don't think it's really tanking. It's like, look what the Braves did.
Right.
It's stockpiling, and even the Dodgers with their $240 million payroll. Like, why do they let Greinke go, and why are they like not trading for somebody when they have no pitchers, and why are they
Because maybe that payroll's too high.
too high?
Maybe
for
the
a
rich
who?
guys were like, all right, guys, can we try to do this with like
Yeah.
$210 million? I
How's Clayton Kershaw feeling about that?
don't know.
I mean, can you name his number 2 and number 3 pitchers?
Can I name the great playoff game I've watched him pitch?
It'll happen. It took Barry a while. It'll happen. It's gonna happen for
a
Clay.
laugh from Joe Fuentes. That hit without. Did that hit close to home?
See a Dodger fan? They do have the anointed guy at shortstop though, right? Everybody's going to be watching their shortstop. Sort of unanimous Rookie of the Year pick, right?
Yeah.
Be fun to watch.
Puig. This is the year Puig ends up getting deported. It's just headed that way. It's always been headed that way.
He's behaving, Bill. He's behaving.
No,
he's in the new league.
He's going to be on a
He's gonna be
one-way
okay.
plane.
I think Dave Roberts might be the guy to get through to Puig. Come on, give him a shot.
I
got
love
him.
Puig.
He's a keeper in my
I'm
fantasy
all in
league.
on Puig.
Okay.
I was totally in on the Bryce
And how about
Harper.
And how about Trace Thompson? Aren't you psyched about that? Michael's other kid's going to play in the big leagues.
Trace Thompson.
Clay's,
Oh, the Clay Thompson's brother?
yeah, he's going to make the team now.
He's making the team?
Yeah, because Ethier's hurt. He might start. He may platoon.
You're one of the only people in my life that still gets like genuinely excited for opening day.
Okay, so here's the thing.
My dad, a couple people in the Ringer office,
Yeah.
a couple of people in my League of Dorks league, and that's about it.
It's great. What's better than opening day? There's no opening day in any other sport but baseball, right?
No, though they did kind of a tiny bit ruin it.
Well, it's not. Yeah,
I
they
don't
have
like
this
the Sunday.
night
I
game.
hate the Sunday
know.
night
Why'd
thing
they do
so
that?
much. It should start on Monday.
Lukey and
Just
I, when they opened Citizens Bank Park,
Yeah.
your friend of mine, Casey,
Yeah.
said, "Hey, you guys want to ride to Philly?" So Lukey and I are on the Gulf Stream to the opener at Citizens Bank Park. Lukey's like, "This is cool, Dad. I like this."
Yeah.
No
What's
security.
this world?
I remember we brought a tennis ball. We were having a catch on the plane. We were annoying all the naming rights Citizens Bank guys, but I'll never forget it. It's like that was his first, and you sort of do that imprinting when your kid is at the right age. We will not be in Philly for opening day, but we will be in spring training next week in Clearwater, as the Phillies are 0 games out of first place. In case you didn't know. And by the way, give me a minute here. We're 14-7 in spring. How much does that mean?
Come on. Are you serious?
Okay, but wait. We're not leaving the Phillies yet.
That's terrible.
Let's do a little
I can't even
over-under.
have this
Let's do
conversation.
an over-under number.
Let me look it up.
Have you done? You don't have to. I can tell you.
No. I'm gonna.
Have you done your baseball over-unders yet?
No, I do have a team I like.
It's very varied. The numbers are like the first numbers. The Cubs were at 94, and then last week they were down to 90, or just maybe it's a different book.
I did notice that the Cubs had better World Series odds than teams that will actually potentially win the World Series.
Yeah, because
which
it's
is
the
hilarious.
Cubs. It's the Cub Nation thing, and they are catering to people drinking that
Well, that used
Cub
to
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that used to be the what do I look at? Futures? Oh, here we go. That used to be the Reds. That's how Vegas would get the Red Sox fans. They would go to Vegas. They'd put the odds intentionally low because when people went to Vegas, they'd be like, I'm gonna buy my grandma the Red Sox ticket, and it'd spend $50. So they would put instead of being like 25 to 1, they'd be 10 to 1 because they knew all the Red Sox sucker fans. And then one year we actually did it.
How about the guy who bet $5 on Leicester City? How great is that story?
That was amazing. So you're over under?
I can tell you what
Is
I
that
bet.
real?
What does it say? I can tell you what I actually
65.5?
bet. Yeah.
That's your over under?
So here's
So Vegas is saying you might lose 100 games? Like it's in play?
65 and 97. Last year we were 63 and 99.
What's your payroll?
It's Ryan Howard and nobody else. He's the only guy getting. Well, Chooch is getting. There's 2 guys left from the 08 team, Chooch and Ryan, and the other guys are all. And Hellickson and Morton.
I can't believe it didn't work out to overpay a slugger who can't move and who can only play a corner position and is
So harsh.
heading into his 30s.
All right, so here's a question for you.
Which my team did twice with Ramirez and Sandoval.
Unbelievable. Now,
Yeah.
one's a first baseman, Gold Glove first baseman, Hanley Ramirez. He did so well in left field. Why not?
Somebody asked me yesterday what we're going to do. I was like, it's not going to matter. Hanley will get hurt in 3 weeks and it'll all the people will be in the right place after
So
that.
then Chris
It'll be
Young,
fine.
is he where does he go?
I don't know.
That's great. It's
What
great.
were
So
you gonna
wait.
say?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I said to a guy, a baseball guy, I said I'm betting the over, which means they got to go 66 and 96. Here's the question: if I said 66 and 96, they got to play blank games under, what would you say? How many games under is that?
It's 31.
Well, it's 30.
30 games under.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I said that, and he said, no, it's 15 games under. I'm like, what? Well, it's 66 is 15 under 81.
Oh, that's true. If you win 15 more than 66, then you're actually.
But you don't
81
really
to do it.
say that, right?
No.
I've been polling this all week, so you're going with 30 under.
Oh, no
Yeah, okay.
question.
Yeah,
That's
so-
like, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Thank you.
Hot dog's not a sandwich; it's a hot dog.
Right. But do you use ketchup or mustard?
Here's my over/under that's going to win, and it wins every year. Tampa over.
Wow, what's the number?
Tampa over is 82. I just do it blind. I don't even know who's on the team. Tampa's always over.
That's great.
Either the Red Sox are 87. I like that one too.
I saw 85. Don't bet 87. I can give you 85. Yeah. I think 85 is a good bet. You guys are, and you know who's the key is Porcello, right? Because you figure
he wasn't bad down the stretch.
Buckholz's okay. You need at least 3 guys, right? And you have a good bullpen.
Have you ever thought about building a website that could put your baseball over/under picks on there? Maybe some of your things you've collected over the years and some photos of you on the set with Arliss? Because I have an idea. I know building a website can be daunting.
What'd you guys think about that segue? 1 to 10, 2.5.
That was a 9.5. Creating something that looks good and works well is a time-consuming affair, whether it's a business site, portfolio, restaurant, or even just a guy who's met a lot of great people over his life and wants to put photos on a website so people can look at them. In this day and age, you probably need your own website. That's why our buddies at Squarespace build gorgeous websites for normal people who don't know how to build websites, like my friend Louis K., who launched Covert Creative.
How do you think he'd feel about being called normal? I mean, normal?
Louis?
Yeah.
Well, he's definitely not normal. Crazy Kings fan. Like, I really feel like if Ryan Perry was crossing the street and Louis would look left, look right. If nobody was looking, he'd run him over. He really would. He'd run him over. You know who else uses Squarespace? The star of the Smash Hit Golf podcast, Shaq House, Joe House. He
Nice.
uses Squarespace.
Does
House
he have
from
to pay
DC.com.
Shaq royalties for that title, Shaq House?
Shaq House?
Yeah.
Who owns Shaq House? Nobody. We
Well,
own
it's
Shaq
like,
House
it's like
now.
Spike. Remember Spike sued when Spike TV came out and he sued because they took his name?
I forgot about that. Who won that suit?
He lost.
Okay. Squarespace makes it easy, regardless of skill level. No coding needed. Easy to use tools, state-of-the-art technology, 24/7 online support, and a beautiful website for only $8 a month. You even get a free domain if you buy Squarespace for the year. So why wait? Start your trial. No credit card. Go to squarespace.com. Use the offer code BS for 10% off your first purchase.
I'm going right now on my
We
BlackBerry.
had to-
Can
we
I
had
do
to
that on a
renew-
BlackBerry, you think?
No,
probably
you're the
not.
only other person I know with a BlackBerry. That's
Oh,
why
look,
we
here's
love
an
each
email
other.
about the White Shadow. Can you name the White Shadow starting 5 by position? This is your chance. Just got this email.
Well, it depends. He would go
what's
small and he would go big.
Never mind.
Coolidge,
Never
Coolidge
mind.
Center, Hayward and Thorpe were always the guards. Salami, and then sometimes he'd go with Reese, but there are other times he'd just bring in Abner Goldstein, just start the game with him, bring Reese off the bench.
There you have it.
2 things we have to talk about. One is we've talked about this at games over and over again. We had Clippers and Trump left, and then we're done.
Okay.
Because
So-
the real reason you came on was Trump.
Well, it is kind of my civic duty.
We're saving it for the end.
All right, so let's do clips.
So clips, we've noticed at the games, and we haven't gone to as many games this year because it really makes me sad to go to the games because the team is just so
Really?
kind of, I don't really enjoy going this year.
I've
The
just been
team
away
has a
lot,
weird
but-
energy to it, and the people in the stands are just kind of on edge, and I don't know. If I go to see the other team. I can be one back. It's just the way I
Yeah.
feel. But we've noticed there's kind of a sky is falling thing now that's
Mm-hmm.
entered these games that I don't remember. In the old days, it was like, we stink. Oh, it was like they were Little League parents. Now it's this expectation of failure that
Well, except
surprises
that
me.
partly this is colored by the fact that you missed the OKC comeback game, which was pretty amazing.
That they won.
Yeah.
So you
So
think
you-
that shed it?
No, I'm saying your impression is colored by having not been there for that.
Not been there for one of those games.
Yeah,
That's fair.
which is extraordinary. I mean, yes, it was an aberration, but it did happen, and it wasn't that long ago. I just think there's a little bit of like, okay, we overachieved in Blake's absence, and Chris, for all you want to say about him, is like, 20-10 season playing.
Why'd you make it seem like I don't like Chris? What was that?
I don't know.
For all you say about him, it's like, what? That
I didn't really
he's
mean
one of the
you. I
best
meant
point guards ever?
Yeah, he's amazing. In his 30-year-old year, he's like upper echelon.
Would you want to
Totally
play with him?
Depends who I was. It depends if I was a J.J. Redick, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
How's that for a diplomatic answer?
Good. That was very diplomatic.
Okay, so I think they like killed themselves and overachieved in Blake's absence, and now it's like, whew, we need him. We need him back, and we're waiting. And as you said, he may not be back, and there's just not. It was clear in the Cavs game. It's been clear a lot that when it comes to the good teams, they don't have enough firepower.
The league has moved away from the model of DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin out there in crunch time.
You know what's interesting, though,
I don't know
Bill?
you can play both of them.
Like DeAndre has. See, this is what I saw last night in Oracle. They're so like they're playing. They're trying to play beyond their means, but they're playing away from their comfort zone to make up for Blake's absence. So I saw DeAndre, who's basically hanging around the low post, looking for the lob, right, getting putbacks. He's driving the lane. He's making shots for himself last night out of necessity. Had a great night. Is
that why they lost?
No, it's not why he's lost. Why he is 19 and 20. Why they lost was Chris shot 4 for 16, and JJ was cold too.
He usually goes at Steph. Last night, Steph definitely had the upper hand in that one.
Steph was, you know what? It wasn't a stellar Steph game. He had like 4 threes, but it wasn't.
I wonder, he was at such a high level, and he's got so much stuff coming at him, and so much pressure game to game, and just the burden of every time I'm on the road, people are coming to watch me warm up for 3 hours, and then his agent's like, hey, this guy called, this guy called, this guy called. Like, at some point, that's got to wear you down a little bit. His life is just too different than it was
Doesn't
5 months ago.
Doesn't it seem like so far, it's early, but he seems impervious to it so far.
I thought he looked worn out in that San Antonio game in a way I didn't like, but they did play the night before, and they did play 6 games in that night, so I just have my eye on it.
Everybody, back to that inner circle, everybody loves him. Everybody is respectful, and he's just like, he is everything right now. It's kind of cool.
I don't know about my wife traveling on all my road trips with me. I don't know. I don't know if I'm okay with that.
What do you mean?
Like, if my wife was here right now, just nodding at us, it'd be weird. Eventually, you'd be like, why was your wife here? I'm just like, she's just here.
Is Riley
It's like
there
the Adam
too?
LaRoche thing. It's like, my son's here. It's like, tell your son to stay home. It's a clubhouse. It's a work environment.
What side of that are you on?
I'm on that side.
Harsh, man.
I love my kids. I don't
kids
want to go
listening.
to work.
Yeah, every day's a lot.
Every day's a lot.
Every day's a lot. I agree.
Where
are
here's
you
my take. I have a hot take on this. Everyone at the Ringer's already heard this. What's that much fun about hanging around with a 14-year-old boy 24/7? Is there a moodier, less social person than a 14-year-old boy? You've been through it. You had a 14-year-old boy.
I did a couple
Not
years
a barrel
ago.
of laughs. Let's get this kid his own locker so he can stare at his cell phone and grunt one-word answers to people. Let's get him in. I gotta have him around.
Oh man, I hope the Simmons household is not listening. I don't know, man. Your son might take offense. I had great times with my son.
My son would be like attacking players with baseball bats with fake wrestling moves and like jumping off lockers and clotheslining people.
It's funny.
I don't know. It's just for $13 million. He could have bought that kid like the greatest bedroom he's ever had.
Right. What do you think the
state of the
settlement
art,
is?
loaded it with porn. He would have been happy. He wouldn't have left. What's the settlement?
What does Jerry give him to go away quietly and not complain? Because he hasn't come out and said anything yet, LaRoche. They give him half. They give him 50% of the 13.
No, Reinsdorf?
Yeah.
Reinsdorf will be like, you'll get nothing.
And be happy.
Here's my offer. 0.
Go away and smile.
That guy like wouldn't pay Michael Jordan.
Right. And so how different would it have been if instead of hitting 207, he hit 280 with 30 dingers?
I'd like to go back to how ridiculous it was that his kid had a locker next to him, and people are arguing about this. Oh, he's a great dad.
It's a great kid.
He's working. That was ludicrous. I love my kids more than anything. My whole life revolves around my kids. I wouldn't want to bring my son to work every day. I don't get it.
He's homeschooled. Where's the mom in all this? Got to wonder, right? And are there other siblings that are home and like, why aren't we going?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
I can't believe we're talking about this. I swore I would never talk about this on a podcast. Never talk about this. So we're pessimistic about the Clippers.
Well, look, they got Memphis, who I know they lost to last week because Zebo decided to just like take the game into his own hands. Which
is always funny because we were there for that terrible Zebo season when
it's just didn't even happen. It's like, did that really? Was he really a Clipper?
But you know what though? That's still my favorite Clipper season.
Why?
It was just so dysfunctional. It was great. We had so much fun at those games.
Okay, so
we could hear the players talk because they weren't playing that much music because it was so sad. And Zebo and Mike Dunleavy and Tim Thomas. Like, it was a train wreck. I think that was the inspiration for your Yahoo basketball show.
Maybe so. Yes. Sin City Saints.
That was basically Sin City Saints.
It was kind of. All right, so they have Gasol's out. Conley, Willer won't be back.
Oh, I think they beat Memphis.
Yeah, so
that's gonna happen.
All right, even without Blake,
that'll be one of the all-time
Blake's
collapses. They just come on.
All right, so then we got the Warriors.
Yeah,
it's fun. You didn't answer my question over under home playoff games.
Oh, Memphis goes 5, so there's 3. and I think they have 2 at home, and that's it. I think they either get swept or win in 5.
5.5.
On the other hand, though, they might just like try to really, close on.
I think
Steph
it'll be a
Curry
good series. I think they'll play them well. It's hard to say they'll beat them, but they'll be respectable. Here's my thing about the NBA.
Yeah.
We love Adam.
Yeah. I still like Adam. He hasn't. I haven't flipped on him yet.
Don't.
Well, I'm worried about this lockout.
It's not going to happen.
Split the money up.
No. There's
Better
already
not, I don't want to miss one game. This would be ludicrous. This is the best time for the league.
They're so far ahead of it. They're already having talks. It's going to happen. So you could argue Adams on his way to like best commissioner ever. He's off to an amazing start.
Great start.
Okay, so you can't even really think of like what are the issues if the hack-a-shack thing is your biggest problem. Obviously things are great, but my concern would be that if you're heading into the playoffs and sitting here, you can honestly say there are 3, maybe 4 teams that have a shot to win. Whereas in hockey, 8 seeds win the Stanley Cups, and in football and baseball, wild cards win World Series and Super Bowls. So I don't know what you do about that. And now with the new cap money,
the league has almost always been like that. There's always been 3 or 4 teams. No, I think what's going to stink this year is I think round 1 in the West is going to be terrible unless Damian Lillard can get hot for a couple games.
Right.
You might have 4 sweeps or 3 sweeps in a 5-game series. Houston, I think will fold like a freaking couch in round 1.
Well, if they even get in,
that team's so ready to quit on each other in like the worst possible way.
Don't be bitter because of your overbet on the Rockets.
Oh, I've mourned that bad. I went to the funeral. It's all good. That team is so ready.
They might as well
quit.
just not make the playoffs and let Utah
they'd be
in.
better off.
Yeah.
But Portland versus Oklahoma City, I think, is a matchup, unless they can pass Memphis. But that one, Oklahoma City will blow a game. That one could be good.
Yeah. And the East is crazy because you have these 4 teams who are basically tied for the 3 spots.
There's some East scenarios that are fun.
Yeah.
Like Detroit, Cleveland would be fun. I think Boston, Miami would be awesome.
Would be amazing. Boston, Atlanta would be cool.
Charlotte, Miami would be kind of weirdly fun.
How crazy! How does Chicago, fighting for a playoff spot, lose at home to the Knicks? What's going on there?
And
Talking about dysfunction.
Where are all the media cronies that just were crushing Thibodeau for years and years?
Right.
And they finally get rid of him, and the team's way worse, and they have more talent than 2, 3, 4 of the actual playoff teams, and they've completely self-combusted. And they probably should have traded Jimmy Butler before the deadline, or Rose.
Could Phil hire?
You can't go with those 2.
Could Phil ever hire Tibbs? He's got to do something.
No, he won't do that. I think it's going to be Luke Walton, either Lakers or Knicks.
I don't know.
Luke Walton, 31 years old. All right, Trump.
We're there. That's it.
We're there.
Wait, before we leave the Clippers, how about the dance squad?
Oh, you're doing the show.
Come on, man. I want you to watch it.
Is it on E yet?
Yeah, it's on. Two episodes in. You might give it a...
It's 2 episodes in? Why didn't you...
Where are you?
Email me this stuff.
I told you we were at the game.
Who's your audience for the Dance Squad show? Me.
You are it.
Tate.
I think you might give it a better review than you gave the Kareem doc. That's
not true.
That was a little dig.
That was a dig.
Yeah, but sort of deserved.
It was a little deserved.
Yeah. Well, you actually apologized to me, so that's on the record. I'll take that.
My standards are so high for NBA documentaries.
Yeah.
But I listen.
Okay.
I mean, we've talked about it.
That's fine. It's fine. So watch it. Tell me what you think. It's fun. It's really fun. The girls, they're attractive. They're athletic. They're fun. We have this trip to China.
What's the show you could have had if the NBA didn't oversee the footage?
Talk about that.
Was
Can't
like
we?
an A-, A+? A+.
Nah, whatever. It depends.
A?
Yeah. I think it's pretty close anyway. We're above the curve.
Is
I
this
think
a
the show
PG or a PG-13 version of that show?
This is, well, it's TV. It's basic cable, so you can't really curse. So I guess it's PG. But let's get into it a little bit. There's a little controversy. The trip to China led to some interesting developments. It's coming up soon, episode 4. I think they're really...
That seems very cryptic.
Well, I'm going to be cryptic because you need to watch it. Yeah. It's good. It's fun.
Does anyone get pregnant?
Not yet. Stay tuned.
All right,
we're
Donald Trump.
So far back to go.
How much time are we at?
We're at 59 minutes.
All right, we have 10 minutes to go
All right,
through this.
so we should go back because everybody's done the whole what an idiot he is and how ridiculous and how embarrassing, but nobody really knows the you, me, and Connor story, the origin story. Should we do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so I'll do my version and you can like chime in if I'm making stuff up.
I'm just going to nod.
Okay, so it's like 08, right? Birthing 30 for 30. You guys sort of invite me on the team. You'll be like our Hollywood guy. You'll be like a consulting producer.
Get some relationships.
But you should do one, you say. And I say, great, I'd love to do one. And let me think about it. You go, no, you should do the USFL. I'm like, I spent 3 years as the sort of like the Steve Sable of the USFL, I guess, which just means for...
But you were like 15 years old.
Yeah, of course.
It was like your first job.
It wasn't quite. It
Or
was
it's
my first, like as an
first big
entrepreneur.
job.
So I started a company after MLB and said, I know how to do this, and somehow got the rights in my 20s to be the official production company of the USFL. So that meant in '84, when he bought the team from Walter Duncan, that like there's this guy on in Trump Tower that's like making big news, and so we spent a lot of time with each other. So you guys
we don't even really know what he's about at that point. This is
So
Pre-Spy magazine. He's starting to build stuff, but he's not
pre-short-fingered Bulgarian.
Yeah.
So he had built Trump Tower.
Yeah.
He had bought the Grand Hyatt on 42nd Street and made that the Trump Hyatt, whatever. It's funny, though, since you mentioned that, we went back and talked to some real estate guys. My buddy, the rabbi, who was my partner, had a real estate mogul brother. And so he said, we know what he is now. He's not in the real estate business really at all, just slapping his name on things. But back then, wasn't he good at it? Wasn't he like one of the top real estate guys in the city? He said, no, never. It was all like he took his father's money and he bullied his way into getting like some abatements and some ordinances. And so he got the right kind of tax advantages.
Caught a couple breaks.
Yeah. And he built these big towers that were splashy. And that was the lead in to buying the Generals. Because
he's like a GM who just had 2 of the top 3 picks in the draft 2 years in a row and took guys.
He inherits Herschel.
Yeah.
He immediately gets Brian Sipe. Later we went and got Doug Flutie, threw Brian Sipe away after a year. But that
was a good move. He had the highest paid quarterback in the league, and then just got another quarterback.
It's like Gary Barbaro, like you're offering me how much money? And Lawrence Taylor got like $900,000 to never play it down in the USFL. Thanks.
Is that true?
That is true.
He spent that right away.
Yeah, you think on what?
Oh,
never mind. Okay,
thanks.
so it's 08, and you guys say, no, do the USFL. And I said, no, man, I spent 3 years doing that. I was, running the production company. I've sort of done that. Let me think of something else. And you guys said, no, we really want these shows to be sort of first person, and we want the filmmakers to be involved.
Distinct. Yeah.
Yes. So I said, I remember, like right on the spot, well, the only interesting thing for me would be if I can call it Who Killed the USFL and go after Trump. You're like, done. Do it. So we announced it and we're doing it. And as I recall, the first one was Pete Berg doing Gretzky, and the second one was Barry Levinson doing the Crazy Band. And we were up third. We were actually going to be later, but I think Ron wasn't ready with Jordan Rides the Bus.
Right. We had to move it up.
So you moved me up. So I'm off doing this thing.
And I think Maisels was next.
Oh, wow.
The Holmes Ali. I
Holmes
think
Ali
he was
thing,
like right after that.
Yeah, it was October. And I remember getting a call from you guys in the summer, like, okay, you're on deck. Anyway, so you said, yeah. I said, okay, I'm in. And I started writing and calling The Office. And there was, I forget her name, but there was the gatekeeper. And like, oh, yeah, Mr. Trump will get back to you. I wrote him these letters. And I'm filming all this because this is going to be like, you guys were very encouraging. You should be in it. You're integral to the story. You were there with him. This is shared history. So I'm filming all this and nothing, like stonewalled. So it goes through about 3 or 4 months, and I'm calling you guys and saying, I may not get him. I mean, I may have to do like a Michael Moore, Roger and me, and like go out to a golf course with a camera and just like catch him on the turn at the 9th hole. Doesn't matter. Just keep doing the show. And we're getting everybody. And amazing guys, right? It's Steve Young, it's Jim Kelly, it's Herschel, it's Kelvin Bryant, it's on and on and on.
It's one of only 2 30s I was in.
Yes.
Because I tried to stay out of them, but that one you're like, I need you. I got a Breakers jersey.
You were authentic.
I crammed into some D-backs jersey from the Breakers who was like 5'9". We had to shoot me from the nipples up because it was like a half shirt.
Can Bill Simmons 8 years later get into that Breakers jersey?
Now I could, yeah.
You
I'm like
good.
15 pounds lighter now.
You're in shape.
Yeah. I still have it somewhere.
That's a legacy for your boys. Dick
That's
Corey,
a great one.
crying at Nickerson Field and
Oh, yeah.
the Immaculate Reception. There's no greater sports highlights ever. So we're about 3-4 months into this thing. We've done 30 interviews and it's going great and there's no Trump. And finally a guy named John Gonzalez writes a story in the Sports Business Journal, and he interviews me, and I'm telling about all the cool ones, and there's going to be this one on the USFL. It's called Who Killed the USFL? Oh, really? What's that about? And I sort of dropped the name, and he writes that, unofficially or off the record, it sounds like this film may be identifying Donald Trump as the cause of the demise. Magically, coincidentally, who knows how, the phone rings like the next day. Mr. Trump will see you now. It was awesome. So the rabbi and I go to the tower with 3 cameras blazing, and he says to me, we're rolling from the time we set up the cameras till the time he leaves. Just like, you never know what kind of insanity. And I'm sort of assuming, this guy's a pretty good spin doctor, right? I'm assuming there's going to be like, hey, Mike, he's going to have done some research. He's going to butter me up a little bit, make me, because by this point I'm like, everybody knows what this guy really is.
Yeah.
And he really did lead the league to I would say premature demise. It was
him and Bassett getting cancer. Those are the two.
Yeah,
things.
well, Bassett was the guy who could go head to head with them. And I found this amazing letter, Bill, recently, which I think somebody put online, where Bassett wrote Donald a letter after one of the league meetings where he said, you're younger, stronger, and bigger than me, so I'll have no hesitation whatsoever punching you right in the nose the next time you try to bully me or one of my colleagues. He was anyway, so instead of him coming in, his lead girl comes in. Now, I've done a lot of interviews. I don't know how many, thousands probably over my many years doing this. This is the first time this ever happened. She comes in and she sees where the cameras are and she says, you're going to need to move, not would you please or would you consider, you're going to need to move those cameras to the other side. Like, well, I don't really care, but why? We just like it that way. It was a little bit of annoyance because we'd set up the lighting.
Yeah.
And then I realized, you know what it was? It was like the cameras were set up on the origin side of the hair instead of the destination side. And the origin side is really gnarly.
It's gamey.
Oh, it's just horrible. It's like, and on the other side, you just see the flop down and it looks like almost normal. So like we had to go through that whole exercise. He walks in and he's just like, the chin's up in the air and like nothing, like no
handshake.
Barely a handshake with no eye contact. It's the kind of thing where if like your kid did it, you'd smack him and say eye contact. Didn't do it.
Like Adam LaRoche's kid, probably. That's how he acts now.
Scarred for life. But like we spent a lot, I'm not proud of this, but like we spent a lot of time together because he was looking for, whatever exposure. We had the weekly show. He was good copy. That's what like you print guys used to call it, although you're not really a print guy.
Yeah, I was a digital guy.
Yeah. But he was fun and he was silly, and it was Ivana would be there and she would call me her director, and it was heady. You'd go up to the box and watch the general games. They were good. They went, I have to say, they did go from
like
6 wins
5,
to,
right?
No, 14 wins the first year and then 11 the second. But
Trump wins, man.
no, now wait.
Okay.
Though the thing I always said, because I've done a lot of these interviews, again, my civic duty, to let the country know. He always won the early rounds and never won the big one. Never won a single playoff game, which is
kind of like what's going to happen in 2016.
Cleveland. Yeah. Waiting for Cleveland. So there was no schmooze whatsoever. Nothing. Like no, hey, good to see you. How have you been? Whatever. Sits down, starts yelling, camera, this, that, the other. My next thing was I had to like get a aerial view of the hair. So I like pretended to be checking out the lighting. And I did like a 360 around him and looked down on this thing, this orange mop.
It's like looking down at a Porto John.
Swirling.
You don't want to look down. It's like,
swirling.
oh no.
I can't see it. I do have to say it is, I think it's real. It's just insane. It's just like how much time a day does he spend making it look that way?
It just goes around and around and around like a bowl of linguine.
Yeah, but I wouldn't eat that linguine. It's
Right.
Pretty,
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, it's like bad sauce.
Yeah.
So we do the thing, and he's great because he doesn't remember it, and he's completely at odds with everybody who loved this league and thought we had a shot. And finally,
He wants to move it to the fall to go head to head with the NFL, which is a suicide bomber mission.
Right. So his whole thing was he never wanted to be in the league. He came into a spring football league and said, if God wanted football to be played in the spring, he never would have invented baseball. Well, so why are you crashing our party? Like, why are you here? He's here because nobody wanted him in the NFL. Your owner might have, Bob Kraft.
Well, you have to remember, though, this is 8 years earlier. The 4 ABA owners were able to get into the NBA from the ABA. So that was probably his thinking.
So let's build up this league well enough to the point where they need to take a few of us to get us out of their hair.
Yeah.
And they were annoyed by the USFL. It was competitive.
Yeah.
But that wasn't working. So then he says, we're going to go to the fall where there are only 3 networks then. This is pre-Fox. So they're on all 3 networks. So they're claiming monopolistic practices, Sherman Act, antitrust, and they sue for like $1.5 billion. Well, the fallacy, the way he engineered this lawsuit, first of all, he puts it in New York instead of like Memphis or Birmingham. He hires Harvey Meyerson, who's this like fancy heavy hitter Harvey, they called him. And he's like, somehow the NFL is the downtrodden underdog. Yeah. And everybody's sympathetic toward the NFL's case. So they you know how this ends up. They win, but the judge rules that there were no really appreciable damages. So he awards them $1, which because it's antitrust, it's treble damages. So it's $3. That's the settlement. That's the end of the league. It's the $1 league.
He's basically like, yeah, there's antitrust, but you guys were so reckless and so stupid with everything you did that I can't give you money for
And it was confusing. As a USFL guy, the jurors didn't really know that. And some of the jurors came out later and said, whoa, if we'd have known that, we would have done something different, recommended. Anyway, it's over. So now I've got everything.
Now you get to grill him, Mike Wallace style.
So I get everything I want, and we're getting to the end, and I really have it all. And I'm like making sure the cameras are going, and I pull out the check, which with interest, because it wasn't delivered till 90, is now $3.76.
So you have the actual check.
I have the actual
How did you
check.
get the check?
Well, Steve Earhart, who became like the custodian of the league, he was like deputy commissioner, and then he was the Memphis owner, keeps it literally in a bank vault in Memphis. And we went, it's in the film.
You borrowed it.
I borrowed it.
Oh, that's right. I remember this part.
So I have the check.
I don't remember anything
in my folder.
Yeah.
Dude, wait.
Obviously, I saw the USFL doc.
I think so.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah. It's still on, by the way, all the time. Yeah. Anyway, so I hand him the check. Have you ever seen this, Donald? It's like it was exactly what I wanted.
It was one of the great moments in the history of the series.
So he gets up, like
he got angry,
really angry. I've had about enough of this. I'm out of here. I made the league. I did the best I could. It would have ended earlier. Yeah. And I go, well, I don't know, Donald. I don't know if I really agree. I guess we'll let's see what everybody else says, and I'll try to be. And he pats me on the shoulders and says, "Small potatoes." It was small potatoes. So again, the rabbi's still rolling. So Trump walks out. I turn to the camera. Small potatoes, guys. That's all we were. That becomes the name of the film. Small potatoes.
It's always good when the title's actually said in the film in an organic way.
It's not like I could have ever planned that, but there it was on a platter. So now we're packing up and laughing and high-fiving, and this is so perfect. I can't wait to call you guys and say this is going to be great. And the lady comes back in the office, obviously having told her boss, like, you blew that, man. That was not good. You came off, imperious, whatever else she might have said. Donald would like to see you in his office. So we're like down the hall from the inner sanctum. So the camera guys start trailing me. No cameras. So I walk into the office. He's got this giant stack of checks he's signing. Could barely make the effort to look up from the checks to make eye contact for half a second. And she'd obviously prepped him the way I thought she would have earlier. He comes around the desk, shakes my hand, a little bit of eye contact. Mike, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for all your success. How's your family?
Oh my God.
Could not be any less authentic. He has no idea about my career, about my family, about anything.
He's like, Mark, it's great to see you.
So I go, everything's great, Don. I really appreciate you doing this. This is really going to be great. I hope you'll come to the premiere of the film.
Yeah.
He goes, well, that'll be up to you, won't it?
Oh.
Which led to me writing him a letter. I said, I'll invite you, and we'll send you a limo, and I hope you'll come, and everybody will be there. So I sent him a letter, as promised, inviting him, which leads to my #1 prized possession that'll go on that. What's that website for normal people?
Squarespace.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
good callback.
Nice.
The sponsors love to be called back.
So I write him this letter, and in Donald Trump hate mail fashion, this is how he does it. He sends the letter back. He doesn't write his own letter with this thick black magic marker, and he scribbles on it, "Dear Mike, extremely dishonest film. Best wishes, Donald. P.S. You are a loser."
And that was pre-Twitter, before he realized he could just call everyone a loser on Twitter.
Exactly.
It felt so special.
I felt
or it
so
was like
great.
at the start of Twitter.
No, it was
That's
way before.
incredible.
All I got was it was page 6 in TMZ is what we got from it. That was about the extent of social media. So I'm calling.
You have to send me the photo of that, so when I do the Facebook post for this podcast, I can post that letter.
Crazily out of nowhere last week.
You're a loser.
You're a loser. Judd Apatow just like retweeted it last week for no reason. Like it's
so
out
good.
there. So yeah, put it up. I'm very proud of it. My mom's proud of it. We're all.
We have to go.
It's fun.
Thanks to Callaway for sponsoring today's podcast. If
and
you're
for
not
the
playing,
clubs he's sending my son.
and for
right?
Lukey's new clubs. If you're not playing an iron with Callaway's industry-leading 360 face cup technology, then you're playing with inferior technology. Visit CallawayGolf.com for more information on their irons and the new XR driver, and subscribe to Shack House on iTunes or SoundCloud. That's the #1 podcast on iTunes, at least for today. Shack House, presented by Callaway. You might have to listen to that one.
I will.
Thanks to Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package right from your computer whenever you need it. Sign up for Stamps.com. Use my promo code BS for a 4-week trial plus $110 bonus offer. Includes postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage. Type in BS. Thanks to HBO Now.
Sweet.
You don't need cable or satellite to watch HBO. Download the HBO Now app and start a free 1-month trial. You can watch Mike Tollin's Kareem documentary that we've argued about for 5-6 hours. I'm back in. I've watched it 3 times.
Wow, great. Thank you.
Thanks
fun.
to SeatGeek, the presenting sponsor of the BS Podcast and Channel 33. And most important, thanks to The Ringer. Go to theringer.com to sign up for our new newsletter. Mike Tollin, thank you.
It's fun.
This was fun. I'll see you at a Clipper game.
Can't wait.
We about this bitch. Anytime y'all want to see me again, rewind this track right here. Close your eyes.